Our environment molds us in ways that we may never fully understand. The foundation of our being is ingrained in us upon conception. Microchimerism is a term used to describe the process in which cells pass back and forth through the placenta while baby grows in its mother's womb. It is said that these cells can remain in the tissue for decades. And on an intracellular level, epigenetics is the study of how our behaviors and environment can cause changes that affects how our genes work, activating them or leaving them to lie dormant. This means that it is possible that a warm hug that my mother received from her mother may have affected my ability to feel love and acceptance. Or, on the contrary, the scorn that my father received from his father may have affected my ability to regulate stress, trust others, and feel safe in relationships. It's interesting because I observed this firsthand raising chickens. When building their chicken coop, I had to be considerate of places for them to roost. Chickens will not sleep on the ground. They will find a way to get as high as possible by any means. One night, they got locked out of the coop, and when I went to check on them, they were nowhere in sight. Right as I was on the cusp of a full-blown panic, I noticed them hiding behind the outdoor unit for the air conditioner. They were huddled up together, perched on top of my boys' bikes. Now, all of my hens were hatched on the same day. They didn't learn this from each other. Neither did they have an older, more experienced chicken around to teach them what to do in order to stay safe. Chickens are natural animals of prey. This response is literally in their genes. Now, if an animal whose brain is roughly 200 times smaller than ours can carry such information inside their bodies, can you imagine what we carry? And that's just addressing how we receive information. It doesn't even touch on what we receive. I grew up in a family that regarded time differently than mainstream society does. It's not that they didn't respect time, as we thoroughly enjoyed our time together. It's just that they didn't conform to the boundaries and restraints that we tend to put on it. Let's meet up at 3 could result in people arriving anywhere from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, depending on the occasion. Disregard for these restrictions also showed up in my home regarding deadlines and due dates. If the phone rang and there was an unknown voice using a professional tone, my mother was not home, even if she was. And needless to say, once we got caller ID, excuses became obsolete. Now, this may sound foreign to some people and an obvious indicator of troubled waters ahead. But because this was my environment I grew up in, these practices were ingrained in me. They became part of my DNA. It wasn't until recently that I realized how much anxiety I have developed around the concept of time. My lackadaisical relationship with time earlier in life greatly affected me later in life, leaving me feeling rushed, like I'm always running behind, always trying to catch up, always lacking, like there's never enough time. Now, I have to admit that having a family of 7 has something to do with this. But the reality is it's manageable. Not only have I seen it done, but I also know that the Most High is a God of abundance, infinite in all things. So there's no way He will not allow me to access something I need, along with the tools that I need to attain it. Now, I'm a solutions-based person, but how do I solve the issue of not having enough time? It wasn't until I was tending my garden one morning that I realized that the solution to my problem is embracing that very problem. The resolution isn't contending with time, it's submitting to it. Twice a year, I do a deep assessment of my garden. I consider what I have and what condition it's in. Am I keeping it or pulling it up to make room for something else? Do I need to make any tweaks? What am I planting next, and what are my preparations that I need to make? Whenever I make changes in my garden, the most important thing to consider is the soil, spacing, and positioning. Over time, plants use certain nutrients, depleting the soil of it. And if those nutrients aren't replaced, the soil won't be sufficient for what's planted next. It may grow to be leggy, produce little to no fruit, or not even grow at all. Adequate spacing is needed to accommodate for growth. And where you position your plants is just as important based off the amount of sunlight or shade it needs. We aren't much different from gardens, you know. We don't have control over the sun that shines or the rain that falls, but we can put ourselves in position to receive it. By amending our soil, we can make sure that when the sun shines, we have what's necessary to convert those nutrients into energy. And when the rain falls, we don't try to avoid it. We appreciate the opportunity to rest in the faith of what Yah is doing behind the scenes. The work that is restoring us, making us stronger for the next round. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to perish and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to search and a time to give up. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear down and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. Timing is everything, and He made everything beautiful in its time. So I'm learning to be patient with myself. I'm learning to look for the signs of the season and embrace them with preparation for what's to come. I'm preparing my soul by filling my spirit with the promise of God's word, filling my body with good homegrown food, and filling my mind with the understanding and acceptance of what I have control over and what I don't. And I have control over my soul. I can control who and what I allow to access my time. I can control how much sleep I get at night. I can set systems in place in my home so that the responsibilities are shared and I'm not doing the brunt of everything. I can extend myself to cultivate relationships that build community. I can admit that I can't do it alone, that I don't have to do it alone. Learning to let go of ways and mindsets that I've practiced for almost 40 years is no easy task. And it will not change overnight, yet in time, I will cultivate an environment with soil rich enough to feed not only myself, but my children and their children's children and their children. Blessed is the one who trusts in Yah, whose confidence is in Him, that will be like the tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought and never fails to bear fruit.